All right, at the day of this recording, it's Monday, and that means it's my favorite day of the week because it's the first day that we get to liberate you, the small business owner, from the chaos of working in your business. Scott Beebe here, the head coach, the founder of the Business on Purpose platform. Got a very interesting phone call from a client just shortly after we met, actually. Called me and he said, hey, one of our team members just left my wife in tears. What do I do? And so we kind of dove in a little bit to chit-chat about some of the context, what was going on around the situation, etc. And admittedly so, they've really struggled with culture. In fact, we're just getting started on the process of being able to lay the foundation to liberate them from the chaos of working in their business. And so they're pretty gung-ho with questions right now, and this one just came out of the hopper. And he basically said, what do I do? And we talked a couple of things about it. Ultimately, his question was, how do I motivate my team members? And guys, not to beat a dead horse, because it's certainly not a dead horse. It's a horse that's very much alive. Starting with vision is where we have to start every single time, including employee motivation. The reality was, this particular business, the team members are not going the extra mile. They're doing just enough to get by, and a lot of that is because of a culture that's been set and a tone that's been set that's been tolerated up until now. In fact, that's not only been tolerated, but take the word toleration out. That's actually been bred. That's right. Yeah, I'm putting the onus on the business owner and not only employee at this point. Here's the reality. Most team members, most employees are going to rise and fall to the level of leadership that we provide. John Maxwell really did say it best when he talked about leadership ceilings, or what he calls the law of the lid. Team members will only rise to the lid that you give them. And you've heard before that the weakest link in the chain is one that's going to be broken. Well, the weakest link in the chain is only going to rise at the level of leadership that you provide for them. So now the question becomes, in order for us not to stay kind of theoretical, what do I do tangibly? What do I do tactically? What do I do realistically to help set a tone to where team members are motivated? They want to go the extra mile. They're not going to leave my wife in tears when they walk away. And so, by the way, not my wife, but the wife of this client that I'm talking about. And as we talked about it more, there are a couple of tactical things that you can do. Number one, you got to get your vision story down, because where there is no vision, people scatter. And these team members are scattering right now. They're scattering both physically, they're scattering emotionally, they're scattering with their commitment to the day-to-day of the business, in this particular business. And so you've got to get a vision down. mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. We provide the template for you. All you have to do is provide the sweat equity. mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. Once you've got that, creating this culture of team member engagement is going to have to require intentionality and repetition. Intentionality and repetition. Intentionality and repetition. Obviously, I say it 3 times over and over and over again for effect and for emphasis, but intentionality and repetition. The intentionality to share the vision on a regular basis, the intentionality to show up at team meetings on a weekly basis, the intentionality to show up for 5 to 8 minute daily huddles with intentionality, and then to repeat over and over and over and over again. And when you're in that team meeting, you're following the same agenda, where you're reviewing your mission, where you're going over and reviewing big wins, where you're going over and reviewing your 12-week plan, where you're reviewing training every single week, and then the repetition of the questions that you ask in your daily huddle, those 5 question/statements. Number 1, what's the biggest thing on your plate today? Number 2, how can I remove any barriers from you? Number 3, here's what I see. Number 4, does that make sense to you? And number 5, here's what I need you to do. If you can begin to create that with great repetition, great intentionality, not being thrown off by random phone calls, random texts, saying, oops, I've got to go here. The old tyranny of the urgent. Punch the tyranny of the urgent in the mouth. And instead embrace intentionality and repetition. And you do that, you're going to set a pace. You're going to set a ceiling that every team member will begin to follow. And you say, well, what do we talk about in our team meetings? That's where you've got to be a learning leader as well. As you're listening to podcasts, listen to this podcast over and over and over again. Listen to the How I Built This podcast. Listen to other podcasts that are out there. Andy Stanley's leadership podcast. Listen to the Entree Leadership podcast. There's all sorts of podcasts to be able to listen to where you can learn and grow. Read books. And when you read those, whatever you're learning, relay it to your team. And that's going to create intentionality and repetition over and over and over again. Guys, your team will only grow at the level that you allow them to grow. And if you're having duress and stress within the team, you've got to look at yourself first. Don't be offended, please. I've got to look at myself over and over and over again. But I've got to look at myself first, because I'm setting the ceiling. They only rise and fall at the level that I set. Not to say that we're all powerful, that's just how leadership works. And you've got the responsibility, and I've got the responsibility that God has given us in the situation that we're in with our business to make sure that the ceiling we set is as high as it can possibly be so that our team members can flourish within their God-given talent. Head on over to mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision, and we'll see you right here next time on the Business on Purpose podcast.